Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, I'm Abby, and yes, we've got a little bit of change of scenery, purely because since in today's video we are doing, study tips, year 11 tips, I thought it would make sense to do it in my lovely desk chair rather than sat on my bed, because you do not do any studying on your bed. That is very naughty. You shouldn't do any work on your bed, otherwise you won't be able to sleep on your bed. And originally I was going to maybe film at my desk, but then I realised it was just ugly to film on my desk, and where my desk is, the lighting wasn't great. So we're not filming at my desk. But today's video is my top 10 tips for new year 11s. Because it's coming around that time where anybody going into year 11 is going to be starting in a few weeks. But also this video can just come in handy with anyone going into exams year or GCSE years. And if you are not from the UK, GCSEs are these really big exams that we do. Basically when you're 15, 16, depending on when your birthday is, that's when you're in year 11. But you start... Probably because there's a thunderstorm going on. Don't know, maybe someone got struck by lightning. Who knows? Oh, it stopped raining! Sorry, I've just looked out the window. But it will be my top 10 tips for year 11s doing GCSEs. But this could also work for just anyone starting their GCSEs or just going through school doing any sort of exams. They're not GCSE, what's that word? They're not for GCSEs especially. It's just they're the only things I've done. I'm going to be doing A-levels at the beginning of this year, like I'm going into my A-level years, but I haven't been to uni, haven't done uni exams, don't know what SATs are like. So that's for GCSEs. And they're not really in a particular order. They could be. There are some that are less important than others, but I think altogether as a collective they're just something that everyone should be able to have and tips to do, and if you do them you should breeze through your GCSEs roughly. But without any further ado, let's get into the video. So the first tip, which you would think is a pretty obvious one, but the amount of year 11s that I saw who didn't do this thing, was crazy. Go to school. You would be surprised, a lot of kids in my year didn't necessarily go to school, they weren't in lessons, and it's just not great, guys. You need to, if you want to have a chance of passing your GCSEs, you need to be at school at least and be learning, because you're not learning, and if you don't know the shit for your exams, how are you going to write anything in them? However, you do make it easier for students to pass, because if you are unaware just how GCSEs are graded, it's like on a scale kind of thing, and the grade boundaries are done on the average. So for example, the average score is the pass, so what the average is. So you do help me out who want to achieve 7, 8s and 9s if you're not revising, not going to school, meaning you bring the average down. But if you want to do well, I would recommend going to school and going to your lessons, and just, or even if you don't go to lessons or school for whatever reason, at least do schoolwork at home. At least do that. Don't just be on your phone or watching TV. That isn't going to help you pass your exams. Now again, this again is a little bit self-explanatory and very similar to the first one. But go to revision sessions and utilise whatever the school that you're at is providing you. If it's revision resources, online materials, or revision sessions, whatever, or if it's study leave, revise during that study leave, but just make the most of it. Because yes, I don't have my piece of paper with my results on yet, that's in a couple of weeks, but I can tell you that that I did those things. I went to the revision sessions. I made the most of everything my school had to offer for GCSE revision. And I was more confident going into that exam. And I don't need to worry if I'm going to be passing or failing. I know I've passed every single subject that I've done because I just know. And although, for example, one of my friends, you know, she doesn't think she's done very well. She has that fear in her head. But I know she's going to do amazing because she did so much, you know, and she went to all the revision sessions. And that's all you can do, you know. So, because another thing, I'm not going to feel sympathy for you if you fail, if you get 2s and 3s, if you're not happy with your results, if you didn't work hard, if you didn't try, or you started revising a few days before the exam. You know, it's just barbaric, you know, but I will feel, you know, sorry for you or sympathy for you or whatever if you don't get the grades you wanted but you still work damn hard. Like, I'm gonna feel sorry for myself if I didn't get the grades I wanted because I worked really hard. Very similar, but number 3 is start revising now. And so what that means, you don't want to be coming around to April, May and realise, shit, I don't have any revision resources that I've made. I don't have mind maps, I don't have flashcards, I don't know any of it, and then you start cramming and revising. That's not going to work. Because it's going to overwhelm your brain, and you're going to fry, and you're going to burn, and you're not going to do well. So, and this is one thing that I didn't necessarily do. It wasn't until my mocks that I started doing it, but start making revision resources now, as soon as, you know, even, or doing little bits. So for example, if you're only year 10 watching this and you're going into year 10, you know, or you haven't made it to, you know, year 11 yet, start revising now. Even if it's small things. If you learn an equation in science or maths, just write it down. Write it down on a flashcard, you know, and just have it and just do it, because what you don't want to do is get to April, May and realise you haven't done any revision and you don't have anything to revise with, and all you've got is maybe your bad class notes that you didn't put much work into, you know, even if you have them, because you may have not been to as many lessons, so you don't have your class notes, you know, so that's why you just start revising, because what you don't want to do is realise, oh god, I missed the whole topic because my teachers were, you know, shit during COVID. So that is a really big one. Again, if this was, you know, rated or ranked, that would be my number one, you know, advice to you. Start revising as soon as possible, because then you've already got it. You don't have to worry. Because the whole point is, if you do a little bit every day leading up to your exams, you're not doing it the night before, you have a better chance of retaining the knowledge. It's just going to work out a lot better for you. So number 4, I hope it's number 4, stay organised. So I'm not saying you need to be really, really, really organised. What I mean is, so the revision, the mates, and your class notes, whatever you have that will help you for your GCSEs and help you through your exams, keep them somewhere where you know how to find them. It doesn't have to be some alphabetical system that's colour-coded, but at least know where it is, or keep certain subjects and topics together. Because I found that was a really big thing, is that I had to remake them because I didn't know where I put some of my mind maps, especially my mind maps, especially for history, because I know I'd made them, but I couldn't remember where I put them because I wasn't organised enough. And that really screwed me over. And you don't want to be in that position. So I'd stay organised. And also, this is in the organised section, know how you revise. Know how you revise, know how you learn. So if that's mind maps, flashcards, videos, you know, practice papers, anything that will help you revise, know it. You don't want to be learning it now. It's no point going through loads of things that aren't going to help you. Reading your class notes may not be the thing for you. If you're thinking, why am I not getting this? I've done loads of revision, but I still haven't done it well. It's because it's not the right type of revision for you. So personally, for me, it was mind maps, flashcards, and past papers that really helped me. For science, I did use online. I used Cognito, which is a free site. Currently, I don't know if they're going to start charging, but it was relatively new. That's why. But I did Cognito for science and maths, because papers and things, especially for science, wasn't the problem for me. It was actually knowing the stuff. But I just kept repeating the cognitive activities for sciences, and it helped. I knew the stuff because I'd retained it. I remember the answers. Yes, there's a few flaws because you're like, oh, but you're not getting the variation and stuff. What if they asked you it differently? But the whole point is it doesn't matter. I had the basic knowledge, and for science, I'm not great at science. But yeah, but just knowing the way you revise before revising and staying organised, staying on top of your revision and not falling behind, staying on top of your homework, and just being organised will really help you for your GCSEs, because a little bit of the stress and anxiety goes away. And I'm really sorry if you can hear my brother like treading up upstairs. His room is above mine. So okay, moving on to a sort of smaller one, and if this was ranked, it would probably be one of the bottom ones, but that is good stationery. Having good stationery that you want to use, pretty highlighters, pretty pens, or, you know, whatever kind of fits your vibe or your aesthetic, it's going to make you want to revise. And it's similar with the organisation, because I didn't actually mention this. But if your notes and your revision is organised as well, and it looks nice, it appeals to you, the revision is going to be more appealing. You know, it's the same with having a tidy desk, you know, and a tidy space to revise and a good space to revise. It's going to be a lot better. Like, I remember we went to Hastings and like stayed in this, you know, flat thing. It was a flat, and that while we were dog sitting, and I did so good revision there because I wasn't in my bedroom, and my bedroom was so cluttered, like, as you can tell, and it wasn't mentally cluttering or anything like that. It was so nice and peaceful and calming. I did amazing revision. But I would also recommend just investing in some good stationery. You know, it can be whatever you like, but you don't want to be running out of a pen. And also, especially if your school doesn't provide you with stationery for the exams. My school does, but if your school doesn't, you need to have good stationery. You need to have some good solid pens, because you don't want to be running out of ink during the exam, because you'll be screwed if you do and you don't have another pen. But yeah, I know it's small, but it will help you revise. It will help you get through. You know, be like, oh, I want to use this because the pen is pretty. Like, to be honest, I know a lot of us, we start with really nice stationery, and throughout the year just kind of digress kind of ugly pens. But, you know, if you have stationery that you want to use, you're going to be more inclined. It's not quite always practical, because if I'm being honest, I had these 2 sets of revision cards, and they were quite pretty and elegant. I'll actually go get them for you to show you. And that just shows you how organised I am, because I know exactly where they were. I just got all of them that were on top of them. But they were these 2. I think these I bought separately, and these are different. It came in a pack, but I barely use these. So yes, they're pretty, and for some of you, the reason why I didn't use these is because of the material of them. They're like shiny, and so the pen smudged. But I did use them. But for some people, having these pretty, you know, what are they called? Revision cards, flashcards, are the only way you're going to use them. And these are these. I bet, bearing in mind, I bought these in year 9. I barely use these. These were rubbish. These were better. My RE teacher gave them to us. But that kind of goes against what it says as though. But good stationery isn't always pretty stationery. Pens and highlighters, they're different, but you want practical stuff as well. You want stuff that you're actually going to use. So stationery like pens, rulers, you can get them fancy and pretty, but with flashcards, I barely use them. But what I did use, these were just the ones on top. My others are in a different drawer. And I gave some of my flashcards to other people to help them revise. But you know, I use these ones more and just made them look prettier. But yeah, I probably waffled on about stationery for too long, so let's move on to the next. So a again, this is quite a simple and small one, and probably be the bottom of the list if this was ranked. But the whole point, the reason why this isn't ranked is because this is just as important as good revision techniques. And that is what TV to watch and what, what TV you need to be able to watch. Again, it's different if you're a film watcher, because of course you watch a film, it's done. But if you're a TV watcher like me, you want to avoid certain shows during your GCSEs. And I strongly recommend either watching a show you've already watched, a kid's show, or a light-hearted comedy that doesn't keep you, invested. And so why can't you watch a brand new show? Why can't you watch Vampire Diaries? I only say that because I was watching Vampire Diaries, but I stopped before my GCSEs. Well, the reason why is you end up watching that TV show instead of revising. And then what will happen is you'll get too invested. Well, at least for me, I get invested, and so I'll be thinking about it. I'll be like, oh my god, what's gonna happen to Elena? Who's she gonna end up with? I would, if I hadn't stopped, I bet you I would have been thinking about that during my English exam, and I would have ended up writing about vampires, which you don't want to do if you haven't been asked to write about vampires. Don't write about vampires. Or a kid's show. I say that because I watched Sophie the First twice. Oh, sorry, I did that. If you're in England, that's naughty. But I did it twice. Because it was just so happy, and Vampire Diaries was making me a bit depressed because it was just so sad, and I couldn't be bothered waiting for Damien and Elena to get together, because I know they do because of TikTok. I was like season 3. So I watched Sophie the First because it was really happy and light. And even though I did get invested, because that's who I am, it wasn't in the sense of, oh, I wonder what happens next, because it wasn't something that was like that. And I may have watched a bit Miraculous Ladybug, and I decided watching Once Upon a Time because it's a show I'd already watched. Because you can watch, for example, if you've watched all the Vampire Diaries, go ahead if you're not going to get too invested or you know what happens next. But you don't want to be watching something brand new. I did break that rule though during the half term because I did watch Heartstopper 3 times. But for example, Stranger Things came out whilst, at least Volume 1, Season 4, came out while I was doing my GCSEs. And so did The Umbrella Academy. I didn't watch it until after. So I because I didn't want to get sidetracked from my revision or be thinking about it, because I would have been thinking about it because you've also got a big break between the volumes, whereas I didn't have to worry about that because of when I started watching it in like late June, so I didn't have to wait for volume 2. Or I like comedies, so for example Friends, Modern Family, The Good Place, something like that. It doesn't get you too down, doesn't fill up your anxiety, because that's another thing, certain shows can fill up your anxiety if constantly bad things happen to the characters, and it's just things like that. I know for me, it can mess with my emotions and my anxiety. So watching something like Modern Family or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or like I said, Friends, or How I Met Your Mother, whatever. I don't really watch a lot of comedies, but they're also very good to watch because they're not a show that what happens after the other happens after the other. It's not like an ongoing story arc. Have an episode, then an episode, and so it's, for example, an easy one where you can just watch one episode, then turn it off. Yeah, so if you are a TV watcher, that's what I'd recommend to help you get through year 11. And also, I'm not talking about starting September, don't watch anything new or whatever like that. I mean coming up to GCSEs around April, beginning of May, that's when I would stop watching really addictive shows. But I would also be careful with watching really addictive shows because you may end up revising more than you're watching. I was quite lucky in the situation, whereas because of where I go to school and basically because of my dad working at the school, or my stepdad, I was able to get a lot of revision done after school but still being at school. So, and in the mornings, so I did get revision done and stuff there. So it was fine to maybe watch a little bit more TV when I got home. But, yeah. And now moving on to, I believe, the 6th one. Which actually really ties in with the TV thing, and the reason why still watching TV is important. Not if you're not a TV watcher, that's perfectly fine, but do whatever makes you happy. Don't forget to do that. You know, because it's still vital. So for example, I continued doing PQA and cadets. I didn't do cadets on a Tuesday though, because that would have been too much and I would have burnt out. But I was still doing things that made me happy. I didn't stop doing that. So for me, that's performing and acting. For others, you know, that may be sports or reading books. I don't know, whatever you want. But as long as you keep doing things that make you happy, because that it's important to have some you time. It's important to stop revising as well and not revise too much. I had, you know, some issues with that, but not too badly. But, you know, my parents would sometimes, you know, be like, Abigail, you're not allowed to do any more revision. You're getting too stressed. And that is that because you don't want to burn out before your exams. And your mental health is so important. You need to be able to just stop. And so for some people that is just watching TV, and that's fine, you know, but you can't just stop the rest of your life. Like, I know some people ended up having to do that because they hadn't been putting in the work for the rest of the time. So yeah, but luckily I was in a position where I'd been doing a revision throughout the whole year, so I wasn't like I have to stop everything and basically cram for my GCSEs. I wasn't in that position really. But just keep doing what makes you happy. And so again, this one is very similar, but self-care. Take care of yourself. Like for me, that's doing skincare and like, you know, keeping up hygiene, like brushing my teeth, having showers. But you know, do whatever you need to do to self-care. So if that's Pamper Day, doing your makeup, putting on a nice outfit, but don't forget to take care of yourself mentally and physically. You know, just doing that is going to help you as well, because you don't want to be a mental, you know, hibernation. You need to take care of yourself. It may not help you pass your exams, but it's going to help you get through that time, and you cannot forget to do that. You know, you just cannot, I don't know, you know, how else to put it. You just need to have some self-care. Even if you take a day out a month during the, you know, during year 11 to do a full-on pamper spa day, whatever, just don't forget to take care of yourself. Because I did see that. I saw, you know, a bunch of people, they would have these, you know, long nails on for the exams, and they would still look really nice and have their makeup done and their hair all done nicely. And, you know, a little bit of me is like, why would you do that? I just wouldn't do that, because I'm not that person. But if that makes them feel better, then that makes them feel better. So just take care of yourself. So again, this is actually similar to take care of yourself, but I think it needs its own section and its own bit of advice. But that is eat well and drink plenty of water. I know so many people just don't eat during exams because of the stress and the anxiety and whatever. I know with me, this was year 9, maybe a little bit of year 10. When I first started doing exams, I was exactly like that. And these were year 8 exams, but I was awful. I wouldn't eat. I was just so overwhelmed with the emotions and the anxiety and the stress. I just didn't eat, which was really bad. And this is where mocks really do come in handy, because for my actual GCSEs, I ate. Even if I ate a little bit later or at different times where I didn't have a big long breakfast, although actually I ended up having typically 3 breakfasts during my GCSEs, and that's perfectly fine. But even if it's just an apple or a yogurt, eat something before your exam, eat something after your exam, just keep eating. Even if it's just plain pasta, don't stop eating. Keep your healthy diet and good water intake, because it's a little thing, but that will help you with your exams. If you're dehydrated, you're not going to pass because you're dehydrated. But if you're not dehydrated, you're going to do a lot better. And you need to keep drinking water. I drink water a lot. I have water bottle over there. I just can't be able to get it. But actually, no, I will get it. And you know what? We'll have a challenge this video. You can drink some water while I'm drinking some water. So I'll let you go get your water. And Yes, preferably water, but if you absolutely despise a thing, get some other drink, but preferably not something bad for you. So maybe some juice, fresh juice or something. Maybe a tea. Yeah. Okay, you got your water or whatever you're drinking. Preferably not alcohol though. It's not great for your exams either. You're gonna do it with me. Especially in the summer. Exams are also in the summer. See? Wasn't that hard? Sorry if that sounded painful. But now moving on to our final tip. Get a good sleep schedule. And I will say, mine wasn't amazing. But guys, don't go to bed at 2 a.m. It's not going to do you any good. Try to get an early-ish night. So it does depend, because every body and brain functions differently. And yes, they say you need 8 hours. But if you've been quite happily functioning on maybe 4 or 5 hours, getting 7 hours is just a little bit better. So for me, I did digress a little bit. But yeah, in the sense of I ended up going to bed around 11. But I would try to get to bed earlier. It just didn't really happen. But just don't go to bed at 2 a.m. Don't stay up on your phone. And if you are staying up late, do it something productive. Or if it's, because for me, one of the big problems is I have insomnia. So I have insomnia. I cannot pronounce that. I have insomnia. Still not right. People who know me, I do not pronounce things very well. Basically, I have really bad troubles going to sleep, which is more related to my anxiety than anything like physically. Especially during my exam season, sleeping was a little bit of a trouble for me. It was typically fine once I got to sleep. I may woken up, but I was so mentally tired. Just some ASMR made me fall asleep, and I was fine. But if you do really have trouble sleeping and struggle getting to sleep, what I recommend, turn TV off and just do things that are relaxing. So, I mean, stop reading as well. Don't do that. I mean, even if you're just meditating or listening to ASMR, just do things that can switch your brain off. Because even if you're not sleeping, if you're just relaxing and you're still kind of re-energizing and rejuvenating and rebuilding up your strength for your exams. So, get a good sleep schedule in place for your exams, because that's something I didn't really do and that I think did hinder me a little bit. But if you've got one in place, that's really going to help you get through your GCSEs and just through school in general. So there you have it, are my top 10 tips to get through year 11 through GCSEs. And I really hope this advice and these tips will help you get through year 11 and just get through school in general. So if you are still here, hi, and please let me know which one you think you would find most useful or was most useful, and I will see you in my next video. So goodbye.